Are you looking for quality, handcrafted, one-of-a-kind, unique items? Look no farther than Off the Square Artisans. We have over 40 artists ranging from woodworking to blacksmithing, photography, rug weaving, handmade soaps, and everything in between. If you're looking for home decor or a gift for that hard-to-shop-for friend or family member, come on in to Off the Square Artisans, located at 205 East High Street, 1 block east off the south side of the Rockville Square. Wednesday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sundays, 1 to 5 p.m.
Hang on. Oh, your knees still hurting?
Yeah, kind of.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You can, or you can, yeah, I mean.
Kevin, do you have anything you want to say?
No.
Not as the public.
Okay.
I'll do my stuff in my department reports.
Sounds serious.
Not really.
Well,
Do you
so
want,
go ahead
yeah, I was
and do
gonna
your
say, let's do
you
that.
can go ahead and do your presentation.
And you could run like a wild.
You're the star of the show tonight, here, bud.
Yeah.
Great. So here's
Oh, yeah,
some plan
pictures.
sets.
Thank you.
Plan steps.
So these are our preliminary plans for the storm sewer installation.
Terminology.
Here,
And
we'll
I'll
put
leave
one here.
an extra one. Yep,
Just put it
okay.
here because he's apparently on his way.
And then I'll leave one more for your
For Becky.
superintendent.
Oh, yes, okay.
But I'll hold it now. And I have a large set for him as well.
Okay.
Or him or her. Okay, so since last time I was here, we got the contract signed and we got out for survey. And then we got that survey back into the office and we laid out our preliminary storm sewer. The storm sewer largely follows what we had submitted in the contract, which was drainage from the south side of town going north to the creek. Where that starts to differ, if you turn to PP7, PP7 is that area by the railroad, let's see, east of Sycamore Street.
BP7.
Yeah, so it's toward the back of your packet.
I got it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that.
So here, we actually found that low spot is at about 527 elevation. Your discharge is about 524 and a half. So you only have about 2.5 feet between the ground up by the railroad, up by Sycamore Street, and the bottom of the creek.
Okay.
So as soon as we drop an inlet in, you're already at the bottom of the creek, basically.
Okay.
So there, we unfortunately can't put an inlet, so what we're suggesting is a dry well. What that is a big manhole with holes in it. And that big manhole gets wrapped in fabric. That fabric prevents soil from going into the manhole and lets water go out of the manhole. We did some research on the soils up there. The soils look positive for infiltration, so allowing that discharge, that flow, to go into that manhole and then dissipate into the ground from there. So that's what we're proposing up there, since we can't capture it and take it to the creek.
And that is on the, pretty much on the railroad grade that you
Pretty much
placed
on
that?
the railroad grade, yeah. It's right at the toe of the slope there.
Okay.
So there's a small swale
Is
there.
that the
at low
end of the
point.
alley then? Right at the end of the
No,
alley?
that's at the very beginning of the project, so the south side of the project,
Oh, okay.
adjacent
That's in
to
the
the
subdivision.
railroad.
Okay,
Yep,
I got
in the
it.
subdivision.
I was confused. Oh, okay.
So that's the first change from the original plan that was submitted. The second change then, if we go back to PP1, so that's going to be right at the beginning of your packet after the G sheets. So this is the outlet of the storm sewer, so the very north side where we dump into the creek.
Mm-hmm.
On the very north side, after our call earlier this month or last, we added that grouted riprap to protect that stream bank.
Okay.
So we've kind of got it all the way back from the very back, even past that structure, and then past our outfall.
Okay.
Our outfall is actually downstream of the structure, which is good because we're not actually adding flow to that area that the structure's at. But we are going to still protect it.
Okay.
Now we've got a pretty big area there, and right now that's about a $30,000 cost when we have it in there.
Okay.
So we have some room, I think, to play with how big that area is based on our final budget.
Okay, so basically what he's talking about in not engineering terms is that the Rogers family was concerned that that was going to cause erosion, and their garage is right on that alleyway, on that,
Stream
on the
bank.
branch, yeah. So this is, you kept calling it armor all to me.
Yep,
So it's like
rip wrap, yeah.
reinforcement
Okay.
Yep,
of that,
it's rock.
so it will not
And
erode.
that's this right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that should make them happy.
Yeah, I would think
Yep.
so.
So then on that same sheet, if you look at the manhole here in the intersection of Miller and the alley, there we're actually running into a sanitary sewer.
Okay.
So that sanitary sewer unfortunately crosses right at the middle of our pipe, or a little above the middle. So what we're proposing there is to run the sanitary actually through a stormwater manhole. Now, it's fairly rare that we do that, but we do it when we have these conflicts every once in a while.
Okay.
So what we do there is we replace 20 feet of that sanitary line so that there's no connections inside the manhole, and then we're going to make it ductile iron rather than PVC so that
Okay.
it withstands any potential debris that could get in that storm sewer.
And then there would be no leakage or anything
Right,
like that.
right.
Okay.
Same. Yep. So the good thing about this is this storm sewer is a phased installation. So what you're getting right now is that trunk line through your outlet area, but only an 18-inch inlet hooked up to it so far. So
Okay.
at least in the current condition, it has no way for that water to get up that high.
Okay.
So as we add flow to this sewer, it's something to be cautious of that, you know, in the future we want to keep looking for ways to reroute that sanitary sewer.
Okay.
And I do have my my construction project manager looking at my plan set as well to try and give me ideas there. I'll let you know if I have any different ideas there, but
Yeah.
for now we're thinking that ductile iron through a storm manhole is going to be your best option
Okay.
for the current situation.
Is this my copy? Can I write on it?
Yes,
Yes.
it is your copy.
It's my copy. I'm
Yep.
writing it.
Okay, so then our current location was laid out in the alleyway, just going kind of right where I had the old GIS line. So it looks like it needs some tweaks to get, you know, kind of toward the center of alley in some locations.
What are you on PP2?
PP1 still.
PP1 still,
Yep.
okay.
So you can see on PP1, there's kind of a garage structure really close to the storm sewer. So we will have to move that, you know, more toward the center of the alley to avoid those kind of conflicts. So there will be some still east-west play, I think, in the storm sewer to get it exactly where we want it and avoid as many conflicts as possible. But I think we're in a good preliminary location to be able to show you.
Is it safe to say that after we install, these alleys will be better than they were before?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Because I have already mentioned that to several people that were concerned.
Yes. Yep. Because we're going to be putting the storm sewer right underneath the alley, right? So then the proposed condition will be a brand new, essentially, alley where the storm sewer crosses it.
Perfection.
Okay. So, and
And
again,
we feel pretty confident that the water's going to get to it.
oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, yep. We're definitely going to be collecting flow up in the upstream area and delivering it down to the creek. but it is a phased sewer. So for a long time, until you get those extra phases in it, that 36-inch will only only discharge, half full into the creek because you only have an 18-inch line connected to it on the upstream.
As long as it discharges.
It will discharge.
Yeah, there we go.
And there'll be plenty of room in that, the sanitary line and that. There's not going to be any blockage there.
No blockage of either line in the current condition. Because it won't be able to get high enough in the storm sewer to reach the sanitary sewer, and the sanitary sewer will go right through the storm sewer.
Okay. I know they've had to do that in bigger towns and stuff.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, we've had to do it before in other locations. It's just not ideal.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but.
And
So-
we still didn't need any easements. We're still running along all the alleyways on the railroad.
Yes,
grade.
right now, the only
Okay.
place I am questioning that is on PP5. So this is on Central. I went over there before the meeting. You can see that right now we are showing that our storm sewer falls outside the right-of-way.
Okay.
However, we're north of the sanitary sewer, or in other words, we're closer to the street than the sanitary sewer, and we're sitting next to overhead poles. So I'm wondering if we got the distance of the right-of-way correct there, because if you look on the north side, we're not right at the back of walk. So I'm going to check with my surveyor on the location of the right-of-way before I move the storm sewer, and if I need to move the storm sewer, I'll have to move the storm sewer.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
So this is right where we turn off of Maple onto Central.
Well, yeah, that would be theirs.
yeah.
And he was all gung ho for a while, and then he gets
Yeah.
he's
Well,
Is that Mr. Abernathy there?
yeah. They tore up pretty good when they were putting the road in, so as long as it's back and grass seed and
Yeah.
all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
that'd
Everything will be
wonderful.
restored to as it is or better.
Mhm.
So that's our only location of right-of-way concern right now.
Okay.
So then that's kind of the changes that I have from what was originally presented. As far as the cost estimate, we presented $625 with that original plan. Right now, we're sitting at $629 with this plan.
Okay.
But again, as I said, that grouted riprap area has a little play, and we still have to get the exact location of our storm sewer. So once we get the storm sewer finalized, then we'll shrink the grouted riprap accordingly. And $4,000 in that area is relatively small. So then next steps and schedule. Our next steps are, like I said, to finalize this set and then make sure that we get everything within that budget. After that, we'll pursue bidding advertisement. That'll start in August. So August 1st is or that first week of August is when we'll start to get that advertisement out.
Okay.
A couple weeks after that, we'll follow up with the second advertisement. And then a couple weeks after that, by August 31st, we have to have this bid
Okay.
per the grant.
Yes.
Okay.
So then, once August 31st occurs, then we'll have the project bid. And then we'll get with the likely low bidder to get a contract together. So then approximately 1 to 2 months, we'll have contracting, and then we'll have shop drawings and things like that to review. So then 1 to 2 months-ish is that in-between time before you'll actually see construction occurring out here. So that's October-ish.
October, November.
Yeah.
October, November.
So that's
Oh,
kind
so-
of late in the year
Yeah.
as well. So
I
I
was
don't really
expecting that
know,
until next year.
yeah, what a contractor will do. Whether he'll try and push the work till next year, or he'll do some this year in the winter maybe, since that's a low time for them, and then restore in the
Town board
spring.
meeting.
But it definitely looks like you're looking at pavement in the spring.
Town board
Okay.
meeting. Town board meeting. Sorry.
It's all good.
Sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
So it shouldn't cause too much problem, except where we cross the roads and stuff. School will be in, as long as it's not Bridge Festival week.
Yeah.
What week is
That would
Bridge
be a
Festival?
disaster. That would be a disaster.
Let me just look at the calendar. Let's see.
It's like,
Second Friday in October.
Second Friday in October, 10 days of heavy traffic.
Oh my gosh, it would be right in the middle of it.
So,
In my specification manual, I can tell them, the contractor that is, that they should probably plan to start after that week.
yes, and
for
that's
actual
the
construction.
13th of October
Okay.
to the 22nd.
oh,
It's 10
it's a little
days.
late this year.
And that's the second Friday. The second full weekend in October. Yeah.
And that shouldn't be a problem. We do that pretty regularly. There's places where they'll have an event that they want to start after the event.
Not in
There's
conjunction
just one
with Bridge
entrance.
Festival.
You know, Maple
Underlined.
Street is the only entrance into that subdivision.
Right.
So, but you're gonna be all along the side mostly.
Yep.
So I
Yep,
don't think
right
it'll
on the
be-
side. And the contract for the contractor requires them to maintain access to residents.
Okay, great.
And so you don't know how much wide the piping or the road, the ditch will have to be for all this?
I can approximate that.
Okay.
So, up in the Maple Street area, you're not very deep in comparison to some of the other area here. So, the deepest you get is there at 108, which is 6 feet. So, you're probably looking at a 10-foot trench or up to 12 there. So if you look at where that is, though, you're actually in the grass there. So it's likely that they'll barely, if even, get into the shoulder. I would imagine that they try to avoid getting into the shoulder to avoid that cost.
I'm sure people are going to, it's a silly question, but I'm sure people are going to ask, how deep is it going to be?
Yep.
How wide is
Sure.
it going to be into
Sure.
the road?
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
quickly, have an answer for them and
Yeah.
may help a little.
Following
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the pipe is gonna be laid on the east side of Maple?
Yes. Yep.
So there's only like 2 houses there.
Okay. Yeah, there's not much there. There's
Yeah.
Cheney's and there's, yeah. It's all gonna be under,
Yeah,
so,
we probably did.
so. We'll be in our right of way,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, sounds good. I don't think it'll cause too much disruption at all.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
It's pretty much how I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, it's pretty much how I thought as well. I was a little surprised to find out how high your creek is, though. Back when we did the project, it was 10 years ago, so we just did not have as good a topographic data from our desktop that we do now.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember this discussion 10 years ago too, so. And really the numbers are not, I mean, they're not what they were 10 years ago, but they're not that much higher than they were 10
Right.
years ago,
Right.
honestly.
Right.
Because the discussion then was you can get a $500,000 overgrant, you could almost do that whole thing for
That's
that.
what we're
Yep.
looking
Yeah.
at now.
So yeah.
Let's talk
Well,
about
Cody,
that.
you'll just have to get the lowdown from
Yeah.
us, or you'll have to watch the replay.
That was my plan. I was like, well, I'll just have to
Yeah.
watch this.
And
in a
Barb
couple
took,
days.
Barb took notes.
Barb did
I
write
have
down
my
some
own notes, thank you.
Because you can write on that in your copy.
It's your copy, you can write
And
on
feel
it.
free to give me a call or anything like that if you have any questions.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
fantastic.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you
I'm
guys.
excited about it.
A couple people have been asking about these, so I'll give them a holler.
Yeah,
They can
and here's
come
the
in and look at
the
'em.
large set for your
Okay.
superintendent.
Oh,
Fantastic.
And feel free to give me any comments you have or anything like that prior to August, and we can
Okay.
get those
All
incorporated.
right, any concerns?
Yep.
Any, I guess any public
Anything at
concerns
all.
or anything?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so,
Okay,
Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Be safe
Have a
traveling.
great evening.
You too.
Oh, here's one more too. If you
Oh yeah.
want to hand it out to anybody.
Becky can have it.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we might be starting like in
Yeah.
October.
Yep. That'd be good.
So we'll just have to, oh, we've already started our feed. Never mind. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Sorry, y'all.
Just
I
told
was
him
supposed
that-
to be off at 5.
Is his name Brian?
I can't remember.
You were needed. You should
I'm
stay.
just gonna go look at my desk so I don't forget.
Yeah. I had it card.
Is this really all we have tonight?
That's really all we have tonight.
Microphone is
I thought
late.
everybody had complaints.
Did you say Mike's running late?
Oh, I asked how.
Oh, Michael said he's coming down.
Oh, he is coming
Mike's
down?
coming.
He said
Yeah, I asked him.
Hopefully, didn't
Oh, you're
about
Mike.
the-
he's six,
Yeah.
at least 6
I thought you were talking
feet.
about Mike.
It's Brian
And then-
Grotz.
oh,
Brian
then
Grotz. Okay.
I found it.
Okay.
People are gonna ask how wide the ditch is gonna be, you know. You're gonna have people that ask that.
How about I leave it laying right here?
I have one in my drawer. Just
Yeah.
sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, y'all, what I missed. No, I'm joking.
That's all you
That's
missed.
all you missed.
Have that.
Jackie's getting the water here put in, so she's not here.
Okay.
Yes, she's supervising.
Literally every time I tried to leave, somebody else came in and we just were swamped. I was like, okay, this is ridiculous.
All right. So you can go to approval of your minutes then.
Everybody get a chance to look at their minutes from last month.
I have.
They look great. I don't see anything wrong with them. I will make a motion to approve.
Okay.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any corrections?
No.
No public comments? Old business?
It's a nice little layout now, Natalie.
Oh, I know. I fixed it. Yeah. I ran out of the other ones. I couldn't waste the other copies I already had.
I like that we put the date in there.
Mm-hmm. Too. What are you going through old business?
Yeah, so,
Let me touch on the .gov email addresses.
okay.
Kevin and I spent about an hour
Yeah, probably.
trying to, it shows that we have more licenses than just mine. And then every time we tried to create a new user, it kept saying you do not have a license for that. So it was really frustrating, but I did get an email from a guy. I tried to call someone and I did get an email back from him. So I've just been super busy. So I will go back in and see if I can navigate through there.
Felt like a dog chasing our tail.
It was like every time we clicked it, and I'm glad Kevin was looking at it too, and it wasn't just me being.
We did get a little further in there though.
We did.
But-
We did.
Still.
Yeah. Oh, we did. Well, we got that thing to go away. That whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So still working on that.
Cody's still waiting on the mural.
Yeah, that won't know if
Until
that'll be.
August. Shop door, I don't believe it's been
Has
purchased
not
yet.
been done.
Grant for the police car and that.
Okay.
should be-
So let me say something about the grant.
Okay.
We had to wait 30 days from my advertisement for anyone to object, that 30 days is tomorrow. So I talked to Scott Craig yesterday, and I told him that 30 days is up tomorrow, that I want to close this ASAP.
So did you ever get a reply to the email?
He called me,
Oh, okay.
and he was in Bloomington today and tomorrow, so he was going to try to get with John McGee on Thursday and see if we could do it on Thursday. I didn't hear back from him today, unless he's emailed me since I left, and I didn't leave till about 5. So I said I wanted this done. That's it. There's no more waiting. Let's sign
Well, I
on the
agree.
dotted line. We got stuff that needs picked up. We got stuff that needs paid for. Pay wastewater back and all that. So I talked to him yesterday about that.
So we should be good on that by
We
the end
should
of the
be
week.
good, unless there's some last minute 10 taxpayer petition that shows up in the clerk's office in Rockville tomorrow.
Okay.
And I do not foresee that. So that's where we're at on that.
Okay. HWC contract.
Yep, I've already submitted that. He said they would get started on the PAMP as soon as they could.
SBOA audit.
That was just, you'll find those on your bills tonight. You'll find those audit bills. And then if you and I are gonna go to the bank later this week, then I'm gonna just ACH that then. To get those paid for.
Exactly. Can't afford not to do that.
Depot Street property, it's mostly cleaned up. It just needs to keep it mowed. I guess we could go ahead and.
Go ahead. Okay, so I'll have to have Scott redo the deed on that because dates are kind of old. So I'll have Scott Craig redo the deed and just update it and get it turned over.
Okay. So on to new business. For the ARP for stormwater project, debt reserve, hopefully it's all done. That's all done.
I just got home at like 5 till 6, 10 till 6.
I'll talk
Change
about
the
my
bills,
budget
talk to the
later.
bills a little bit.
And I'll talk about
I
the
gotta figure out
plans and
something.
stuff like that when we talk about
Figure
water,
something
and then
out. I gotta figure out whatever.
they haven't done Woods Alley yet.
No.
And they did tear down the water building.
Yes.
That building is down.
And did Gary go ahead and order some supplies
Thought about
for
calling
him?
He
Clamps.
was
He
going
knows
to look at a couple of options.
Okay.
I have a lot of stuff on the plate I'm waiting on Gary to get back to me on, so,
Okay.
5 or 6 years
We'll
old.
check.
yes, I'm going offline tomorrow. So,
It's
It's been a crazy month.
it really has,
It has
and,
been.
you know, during that storm, he got his rear end kicked too,
Right,
with
right.
multiple plants and multiple issues, so.
And
Yeah.
I just want to say Cliff and Mike really stepped it up that evening and got the roads clear in case there was an emergency personnel that had to get out. They could get out and, you know, the trees are we still have some trees, but they're going to start working on some of the brush we have on the roadsides and get that taken care of. The bigger stuff, the homeowners are going to have to take care of that mostly. But yeah, I wanted to thank them, and I thought they worked several hours that evening trying to get things straightened out.
I think that it was really nice for the firehouse to open up and the food pantry to come together and get rid of some of the meat that was going to go bad and be able to grill out. We were able to feed the tree trimmers
Yeah.
and some of the linemen at the same time.
Yeah, and there were some other folks came in.
I think
And
they
some other
really,
people.
they really appreciated that.
It was a nice gesture. I'm glad everybody came together to do that. I think this was also a learning experience too, on the fact that I think we probably, and maybe you guys do know at the fire department, do we know in town who's on oxygen? I mean, I know one of the ladies in the apartments is, and I know they brought her a generator, that EMS brought her a generator. But I
Yeah.
started thinking, I guess it would be kind of nice to know.
Yeah, because I mean, that's, people are on it, then they're off it. and then
Right, and I knew
that
she
would
was
be-
on it.
That would be something tough to tackle,
It would be something kind of tough to tackle.
to keep a heads up on it.
I guess it'd be kind of nice to know.
I think she was the only one that asked. I know Jerry Linville has been on and off of it.
He has a generator. He has a whole house system.
Yeah, so.
I will say this, as far as the water plant ran just great on the generator. Of course, it's natural gas, so it never had any issues. I do think that I will call Doug Floyd, and I'm sure he's probably servicing a lot of generators, but I will have him come out and go ahead and do a service since they were used as much as they were. Yeah. And then he was in pretty good shape since the hill got power back pretty quickly for the tower to run. And then the wastewater plant, of course, we started running out of fuel that first night. And then Justin gave him some fuel out of his truck, and then our hunter from Co-Alliance was able to fill it on Friday for us, which got us all the way through. Now we also know that we have to be wary of the lift station on the south end in an extended power outage like that, which hopefully
Is that
we
what happened last night?
don't have. No, he said that he thinks the power flickered and caused that last night.
Okay.
But we have to have some kind of a backup plan over there for that lift station if we have that extended power outage again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was pretty clear that we could have gone at least one more day before we needed to panic, but Gary also had some suggestions on that, so.
But
just
the
kind of-
generators that we sent down there weren't apparently big enough either.
Right, they were not. So that's something else to think about, I guess, for having something. I mean, if he had told me that on Thursday or, Friday during work business hours, maybe I could have found something, but I just didn't know what we needed. So it was definitely a learning experience for me, for sure. So.
Is a generator for that station something we should be looking at budgeting?
I think that it would be extremely expensive to purchase one for there, and it will go for several days before it's full. And the better option for that, honestly, Gary suggested that Brad Barrett, we use him to vac out the sewer lines when we have a blockage, that he can come and vac that out and pump it down to where it'll last, you know what I mean?
Even longer.
Yes,
Okay.
even longer. So we do have kind of a
So we've got a
thought.
backup option.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
In talking through with Gary was great. He came by my house. Rob was great. He was back and forth quite a bit. So everybody was, I feel like everybody really worked together. Mike and Cliff were pretty quick on, like I said, Carol said the roads and everything like that. So.
Well,
Okay.
property issues.
Better, I mean, if they had a generator sitting over there.
Departments, are we still in new business? Where are we at?
Yeah, we're in new business now, but not quite to the budget
$5,000,
yet.
$6,000 on a generator.
Okay.
Plus.
We didn't, well,
Plus,
we can talk about the
electrician.
properties when we.
Yeah. All right.
My brother-in-law was talking about buying one.
Okay, so we're actually old business from this then. We haven't gone to new business.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sink.
No, not new business.
Not new.
We're
Okay.
old new.
We're newer.
We're
old
in
business.
old new. Okay,
Old new
great.
business.
Great.
That's good. I'm now on the wrong
Yeah,
part.
and the white shed is down, so it's in the burn pile, so.
If you had it in your house, it'd
And we're gonna paint the other building. Yes, I think we could go to reports.
Oh, can we go to actual new business first?
Oh, I guess we could.
Okay.
Let's go to actual new business.
Okay, so I have new business, and we have been having this conversation for a while, and we need some water meters. Our water meters were installed in 2008. They are starting to
Fail.
not read. You can read them manually, but they are starting to fail as far as like the drive-by reading. Matt Kingery gave me some. He's our Midwest meter rep, and he came in with some data about moving us over to, right now we radio read the meters, so we have this like antenna on top of the truck, and we drive by and it pings and reads like that. Obviously that was really state of the art and cutting edge in 2008. And it is no longer state of the art and cutting edge. Now they've gone to a cellular read. So what Matt Kingery has done is he populated all of our meters, and there's so many that do well on a Verizon signal and so many that do well on an AT&T signal, which is really interesting to me. He's even made a list of what each meter does better on.
Oh,
Wow.
that's info.
in this upgrade, this meter upgrade, we can't afford to upgrade 350 meters all at the same time. So we're reading about 30 to 35 every month. So my thought and my suggestion, and we can figure out the finances, however, did he just drop off a bill?
No, he had something for me.
Oh, okay. Is that my suggestion is we buy 50. And we figure out how we want to pay for 50, and then we incrementally replace 50 per year until they're all replaced. If you go from that 350 number, we'd be done in 6 years or so, and maybe some years we could do a few more.
Yeah, I was gonna say that might.
Yeah.
They're all, they're starting to break down. I mean, 6 years might be.
Yeah, it might be enough. It might not.
Yeah.
Matt was. A couple things Matt pointed out to me that are really actually pretty smart, which I guess is why he's the meter salesman. Is he said that a really good way to do it is to, in your higher usage months, obviously you can't replace meters in the winter anyway. So he said you buy 10 in May, you buy 10 in June. You don't buy 50 all at one time, but incrementally buy these, like buy 10, 10, 10, like do it like that. Replace them as you go, and then you're also not sending your guys out to do 50 meters at the same time.
That's smart.
And he thought the 50 number was a good starting point, 50 to 60. So some of them, so the cost, and we can continue with the radio read ones, but I feel like the cellular is the way to go. Most places are going to the cellular. Once all of them are cellular, we no longer have to leave the office to read meters. It will automatically, you'll be able to do a 15-minute read. Andrea and I can log on at any moment in time and see how much water you're using at that moment in time, Cody. We'll know if you're taking a shower. That's all. So it's pretty fascinating.
Scary.
It is scary, but there is a cellular cost for that every year. It's like $3,800. There's a licensing fee. I mean, all of it it's not cheap. None of it's cheap. So on that same note, we're probably looking at some kind of a raise in some rates at some point. We'll have to do a rate study. Yes, we'll have to do a rate study on the stormwater project anyway. So I think that Scott Craig was supposed to ask Steve Brock if he could do a quick rate study on our water as well at the same time, because it would be more cost effective for us. The meters, like the AT&T meters, are $230. The Verizon meter is $247.50. You have to have a special lid, which is another $35. Either way, because it's a protective thing.
Metal lids, they wouldn't be able to read through it.
So it's like this.
That's what I was like.
It's like this big plastic, like one of those really heavy duty. So that's another $35 per meter. So, we're still not sure on the meter bases. Matt and I were going to pull a couple lids next time he comes down. Those are $65 a piece. So even if you budgeted, $300 per meter, which is high, and you did 50, 300 times 50 is $15,000. And that's before we pay any of the other fees. So we have to do something. I'm not saying we have to make a decision tonight, but we do have to do something, and we have to get a plan. These can also be half paid for out of wastewater, which I never thought about that. Matt was the one that said, you do realize you can pay for half of these out of wastewater because you can't bill wastewater if you don't read water.
Right.
So we can split it between the two.
That'll make a difference.
And that'll make a huge difference. So I'm just presenting that tonight because we do need to take care of it. So if you guys want me to get and that's the other thing, is he was kind of going to spec out, my thought was, do we replace all of one? We say, okay, we're going to do this block here after we replace, or we just wait till they start going out and we replace them as they go. There's different ways to do it. Right now they're all over.
Yeah, and that's
so it's
as sucky as it would be to have to replace them here and there. It probably would be smarter to do it that way, because You know, the ones that are maintaining better, you know, we don't have to worry about like replacing one and then having to buy an extra one because, oh, well, we just replaced the 10 for that month and
Should get
another
all
one
the
went out.
ones that are messed up.
Right,
first.
yes,
No.
that's what I'm saying, is if we get
Excuse
maybe
me.
the beginning done,
And then maybe
So.
we can go block by block or something.
yeah, something like that, so.
Yeah. So let's kind of go through the worst case scenario and get all of it and then figure out how much it's gonna cost us.
Okay,
You know, what with the services
right, so,
and all that, and
Okay.
then maybe vote on it next time.
okay, that sounds good. So what
So
I'll
we
have,
can get some replaced this year.
yeah, what my plan
Can we
is
get
then.
some this quickly?
Yeah, he
Okay.
said there were some coming in and there were some gonna be available. I can't remember which kind he told me was more available than the other. But he and I can go through and I can spec out, since he has this list of all the addresses and whether they're AT&T or Verizon at this point in time, I can go through and have Andrea highlight the ones that are not reading now.
Okay.
And then Matt can give me a full quote based upon those meters
That'd be
and
good.
that service.
Could we potentially, you said we've got 30 out currently?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was going
Could
to ask.
we-
How many is that?
Because, I mean, even if they do 10 per month, I mean, that's August, September, October. I mean, that's probably
Should be able
about
to get
the
Right.
only time
those
we're going to be
fixed.
getting
Right. Mhm.
those in. So
Yeah.
maybe
So.
look at buying 30 this year and then starting off 50 next year or
We
even
can.
80 next year, whatever we can
Right.
budget
Right.
if it comes out.
Yeah. So let me get a handle on which ones we can do right now, and then I'll get a good
And
price
then
from
who's
Matt.
gonna do the water?
We can do it.
Water assessment, I mean, as far as rating goes.
Oh, well, Steve Brock will be doing this, cause they're gonna study our wastewater rates as part of stormwater, cause stormwater actually falls under wastewater. And so we'll just have Steve do that at the same
Right,
time.
right.
And then he can make a recommendation.
Okay,
So, yeah.
cause I know at one point we were raising like 2% every other year.
We raised 10% twice.
Oh, 10%.
We did, which, I
Every
mean,
2 years.
our base rate's $27.29, so 10% of that's $2. And so if you think
Yeah.
about how we got to that rate, we were at about $24 when we started, so. We're still probably pretty dang cheap.
Right. 'Cause
And we had a record water month last month because it was dry and everybody filled those pools and we built like $17,000 worth of water, which we have never done before. So,
So, when will we know that it's before
um,
the end of the year?
I don't know. I mean, that's a question for, I can actually email Steve Brock myself.
Okay.
All right. That was my new
That's
business.
new business.
Yep.
You wanna just go ahead and give your Clerk-Treasurer report? And then we'll do, or if you wanna do the other.
I want to talk about in new business, I want to talk about the town election.
Oh, okay.
It is a town, election year. We've been saying for the last few meetings, the filing deadlines, and, I'm not so sure we don't have to do a resolution, which we would do next month, but, my last discussion with the clerk's office is no one filed for offices except for me, for the clerk-treasurer. No one filed for the council. No one filed for anything except for me. So everyone will remain. We need to start advertising for an additional council member to replace to fill our empty seat. And so everyone will just remain in that short term as of now, but I'm pretty sure we will need to have something in our book canceling that election, but I think we do that next month because next month would have been the month that we would have, the calendar's weird to me, that we would have formed an election committee.
Oh, okay.
We would have done that in August. So there will not be a town election because there is no one to run on the ballot. So, and all of the deadlines have
How much does
passed.
that save us?
Probably cost us, when we did one in 2018, probably cost us $600 or $700. And so now we'll be on the county one, and I don't think it'll cost us anything. That's my understanding. I'm not 100% sure on that, but so I will just double check with Scott. And I know that when they canceled, they didn't cancel it. You can't have an election if you have no candidates. There is an ordinance or a resolution in that book for it. So I just need to make sure I'm doing that correctly. So I guess you guys are stuck with me for another 3 years.
That's fine.
And no deserting the ship either in the next few years.
So yeah, that was my other thing I wanted to make sure I brought up. Leaders, election, and everything else I'll do under my report.
Water, sewer, let's see. We had 94 penalties, no shut-offs, 7 tags. And street, who's in charge of street?
Hold on, let me talk about water really quick.
Oh, water, really quick.
I've talked to Gary about the clamps that Mike wanted. He was gonna look and see what he thought would be the best for them because they had a different pair than what he had, and he wasn't sure that was what they needed, what he had. I talked to him about the south pump house. He was actually gonna have his his pump guy go down there, and then that guy had to leave on an emergency, so he's trying to get him down there too. I believe that Mike got some fuses or some breakers for that, but Mike was nervous to put them in.
Okay.
So
you have an electrician or
I'm not
something?
sure. They were going to try to swap those out and see if that helped. But I think that Mike got those. I'm not sure if he got those or not, but I feel like he did. I need to check with Veolia about the water tower painting. That's on me. The storm and everything has had us a little backed up in here. I also talked about Gary. The state is requiring us to do an inventory of our water lines. Lead and copper, and it's kind of we have like a year to do it, but I love the state of Indiana. It's one more thing that we have to figure out how to pay for, but there's a lot of grant money for that, and I've been in contact with Alliance, and I have on the Alliance guy I need to call back and discuss with him what our options are, because we don't know how old our lines are and what they're made out of. So that's the other thing I talked to Gary about too. Rob's doing pretty good out there. Like I said, I talked about him, and everything else seems to be going pretty good. He feels like we must have had some kind of a power surge yesterday, which is what activated that alarm out there.
Okay.
So that's my wastewater water. We still need to finish flushing hydrants. We were right in the middle of flushing when that storm came through. And so we do need to get that done as well. All right, I'm good now.
Okay. So street.
They did, what did they do?
Well, they haven't done much on it.
We talked about Woods Alley still need,
Yeah,
but I mean
they
they've
haven't-
been
Yeah,
They've been
busy.
we had some storm stuff. We had a burial. Yeah, so.
The park. Barb, do you want to talk about the park?
Well, we just need to get a grant, and we need to get a board first, or is it opposite of that? We need to get a board, then a grant, or to apply for a grant?
I think you have to have the board to apply for the grant. correct?
So
Yeah.
this is what has to happen: is if you choose to go with the park board, and Carol's got the ordinance that Scott Craig did for us on that. If you choose to go this route, then your board creates a master park plan, which you file with the DNR, and then you're eligible for more grants. Right now, we're really not eligible for anything except something that would be local. But on the state level, we're not, without that park board, we're not really eligible.
So we definitely need to establish the park
So,
board.
that is, it's kind of wacky because no one on the board serves on the park board. It has to be 4 members within the community, and then each year, one of those would fall off and you would appoint a new one. And they're appointed by us, or by you guys, and they only have to meet a couple times a year, and it's just kind of about planning for the park and getting other people involved in the recreational part of the town.
Well, I think we came up with a few suggestions of people, that we thought of might
Yeah.
be good.
And
But,
then Scott
you know,
Craig said they have to live in town.
Yeah, so we have to talk to those people first, and then hopefully by next meeting we'll have people and a board, maybe.
Right now, what we need to do is, we have to agree as a board that we're going to be given over control of the park,
Ooh.
more or less, to this park board. Hopefully they'll listen to us.
Well, I mean,
You guys will still have authority over it.
Yes, we still
Yeah.
have authority.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah, we would,
Hopefully,
they would just,
Definitely.
we don't
Yeah.
have any
Yeah.
rebels
Yeah.
among them.
But, to get the USDA grant. And we have an
DNR,
ordinance
yeah.
here, should we go ahead and read it, so we'll have it?
You can read that. It takes you 2 meetings to pass an ordinance. I guess technically right now you have 3, so you still have a quorum, so you could vote, you could just have your first reading tonight, and then you could have your second reading next month.
You got your glasses on, Barb? You can read it since you're park person.
Nice. All of it?
yep,
Yep.
the whole thing.
Ordinance number 1.
Okay, under the provisions
Really the
of
ordinance we've
1C
had?
36-10-3, there is hereby created a Department of Parks and Recreation. Said department shall be under management and control of Park and Recreation Board, which is hereby established. The board shall be composed of 4 members appointed by the town council on basis of their interest and in knowledge of parks and recreation. Pursuant to I-C-36-3-10-4.1, the requirement that members of the board be affiliated with any particular or political party and not more than 2 of the 4 members be affiliated with the same political party are waived. Board appointees shall be made without regard to political affiliation of the appointee. In accordance with I.C.36-10-3-5, the 4 members of the board shall have staggered terms. As a term expires, each new appointment shall be made by the town council for the term of 4 years. No member of the town council may be appointed to the board. All terms expire the first Monday in January, but a member shall continue until his or her successor is appointed. If an appointment for a new term is not made by the town council by the first Monday in April, the incumbent shall serve another term. If vacancy occurs, the town council shall appoint a new member for the remainder of the unexpired term. There are no restrictions on the number of terms a board member may serve. The first 4 appointees on the board are stated below, along with the date that the members expire. At its first regular meeting in each year, the board shall elect a president and a vice president. The vice president shall have authority to act as the president of the board during the absence or disability of the president. The board may select a secretary either from within or without its own membership. The board shall have the power to perform all acts necessary to acquire and develop sites and facilities and conduct such programs as generally understood to be park and recreational functions. In addition to, the board shall have all the powers and duties listed in I.C.36-10-3. The board shall prepare and submit an annual budget of the same manner as other departments of the town government as prescribed by the State Board of Accounts. The board may accept gifts, donations, and subsidies for the park and recreational purposes. All other ordinance and resolutions or parts thereof in conflict with the provision and intent of this ordinance are hereby repealed. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after this adoption. Adopted on March 14th, 2023, after unanimous consent to suspend the rules and adopt the ordinance after one reading. After one reading. One reading.
Oh, we don't.
But you don't have a full board, so you can't do that for one year.
I wanted to so bad.
We'll sign it next time. This is our first ordinance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, that's what you mentioned.
Yes.
So more or less, just like any other department, they would fall under us. They still have to
Right.
have approval.
Right. Mhm.
So
It's just getting more people involved.
made it sound like
And, right.
we're just let them do whatever they want with the park. Yeah, it's like, I don't know about that.
No rebels on the park board.
Park insurrection.
Yes, I can see it.
Insurrection board appoints.
Scary.
I'm gonna go home and watch Parks.
Okay, who's in charge of streets?
Cody's in charge of streets
Cody.
Okay.
and the police department.
Yeah, I have nothing new. Please.
I was gonna say, did you already do fire department?
I
Oh,
got fire.
You
I
got
got
fire
fire.
tonight? Okay.
Okay. You want me to go ahead?
Yes.
Okay. We had one alarm and 3 medicals, 2 car accidents for a total of 10.
So we had 3 med,
Okay.
1 alarm, 2 car.
Should be 7 med,
7 med, 1 fire, and 2 car.
Okay.
2 car wrecks. Yep.
Accidentes.
Shrimp oil,
Totally.
August
7
5th.
medical.
Shrimp boil, August 5th.
2 alarms,
1 fire alarm.
1 alarm, and 3 accidents. So
$25, all you can eat.
25?
What time? What time?
4 to 8.
I love the shrimp
Yeah,
oil.
price of shrimp went up a little bit, so we had to.
Do you know if I know Malcolm was gonna bring that to the backpack day thing to your board?
He did, and we talked about it a little
And
bit.
now?
I talked with my board about it a little bit, and that's just a little bit too far for us.
That's
to be
fine. I
out of
just
town.
wanted to make sure because
We discussed it, and that was kind of my initial thought, and the board members, they kind of agreed with me.
no problem.
Because we do like doing things like that, but clear out there is just a little too far.
okay.
Police department, I sent you the text that I
Oh,
have.
yeah.
And
Okay.
I don't think that's accurate, because there's not much on there. But in addition to what you have, go ahead and read what you have, but.
Okay, I have 1 VIN title check, 1 suspicious vehicle, 1 lockout, 1 information, 2 animal complaints, and 4 traffic stops.
I know we did more than that, June.
Yeah.
But there was also 3 warnings and then 1 DUI arrest.
Okay.
And as far as the vehicle goes, I haven't heard anything from outfitters, but as soon as you get the thing done with the grant, we'll probably go ahead and pay them for the material, withhold the labor. But we are going to, later on this month, start getting the Explorer ready. By ready, I mean we need to clean it out, like we're gonna like really go through it, and then we gotta pull the vinyl off of it.
Okay.
So it'll probably be unmarked for 3 or 4 weeks, hopefully not too much longer than that.
Okay.
Gotta get it ready, because
What about our truck?
A lot of
They-
tickets.
when they
it's
call
unmarked
us,
there, so that's when you get all your tickets. And when it's unmarked, you
Yeah.
pay for that truck. Come on, even though we never get paid for our ticket money, so it doesn't
write
matter.
write
We got
$185
We did.
For the first time in what, 5 years?
Yeah, Andrew
write
got
a $180 ticket, and we get $4.
Yeah.
But everybody thinks we got right tickets to make money.
Did we skip the cemetery?
Yes, we did.
Well, yes, there was just 1 burial and 1 veteran stone set. And, let's see, properties. Have you tagged any properties?
Not in the last 2 weeks, not with the storm or anything that went through.
And I know when we've had trouble with vehicles before, you mentioned something about a new form that has to be filled out. Do you remember that? That the, junkyard has to have.
We have to take pictures and do a tow-in form for the guys, for whoever comes
But
and
I
gets
thought
it.
there was something newer. And if we could get a copy of that form so we
I
could.
don't think so. We ordered the tags for the windows,
Okay.
and I ordered the hang tags, which I used. I don't know. I put out that one day. I put out like 10 of those hang tags one day.
Did we go back and see if they complied?
A couple worked on some things, and a couple haven't. I hate to say it, just write everybody an affidavit, but then that just barrages Scott with a bunch of stuff.
That's what he gets paid for.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Right. Well, I get that. At some point, we still need to look at the vehicle ordinance.
Yeah,
Which-
I've got them all marked, so we can sit down. and
That's the
look
one we
at
need to look
them.
at.
There's several that need tagged.
Yeah. Well, I know the one guy on right there on the alley. He did start working on his stuff because he called me 2 or 3 times. It was all been out of shape because I put a door hanger on his house. But he's working on his stuff. There's a couple on Central Street that I.
Down here in Central, yeah, that's Central.
Which one?
The last house before the apartments.
Oh.
There's.
Yeah, I
Going
just
out of
noticed.
town.
I noticed the last week or so that he's got that car sitting on that dolly. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what's his name.
He's not here anymore.
Yeah,
I know who you're
it's
talking
a new
about.
renter.
Bald head guy.
Yeah, they've got new tenants in there now.
Okay.
So.
And the yard is just a disaster.
Well, I mean, that's one thing I think we could probably look at again or actually take a look at is our, cleanliness ordinance in town, maybe.
Well, the one ordinance that Natalie got from that town,
I have some that
they have their ordinance is written so that the town can actually fine them.
I think that's very much what we need to look
Yes.
at doing because
A fine
there are
on
a
their
couple.
property tax or?
No, that
just
I
a-
think
They
that's a
they
fine
had
collection.
something. It was something in there where we'd have some recourse. Like for the most part, if we write a ticket on a town ordinance and they don't pay it, since we don't have a court, there's no recourse. If we want to pursue that through the courts, we have to get with Scott. He has to act as the prosecutor to take them to the courts. That's why with dog tickets, we write them on the state statute because we don't have to mess with them.
Okay.
If they don't pay it, then
Whereas
the state just suspends their
this
garbage.
ordinance, we
Yeah.
could potentially fine
Yeah,
them
the
if
ones
they don't pay it. We shut off their
You
water
have
or
that
something.
copy of those, Kevin? Did I
They're-
give you those
they're
copies?
sitting over my desk, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure I have them somewhere, but
Yeah,
I
they're
can
sitting.
find nothing right
They're
now
sitting
for
on my
some
desk.
reason.
I like that idea. I've thought about that for a long time
I
because
think,
there are
I
just so
think that
many.
would be
I know-
the best way to do it.
We've heard rumblings around town, people are complaining about wanting them to, it's their yard. They
Sorry,
can
but
look that way if they want.
I don't want to look
their
at garbage
property.
every day.
And I try to tell them that, we have a lot of, critters in town, and that just keeps them coming in here. They have places to burrow in and.
The cats.
Seems like
are
coming in town really
outrageous.
looks bad. Going out of town looks
Oh, I get it.
really bad.
Well,
What?
I mean, it's
Do you
just
know
a
any
matter
more,
of
Natalie? Do you know any more on that house, Lee Ross's old house?
I do not. I do know that Dave Conder has hired an attorney and filed to be the executor, so to speak, on Lee Ross's estate. Even though they were unmarried, I talked to the attorney, he called me for some other information. And
There's all
he
kinds.
he kind of acted like really Dave kind of maybe had a little bit of a case there. So I don't really know what's happened with that. I could probably look on my case and see if I can find it on there.
Yeah, well, what's his
But-
plans with that house?
well,
I mean, that
hi-
thing is full
His
of
plan
critters.
with that house, you were in here last time he was in here, Cody, weren't you? He told us that he just really wants to give it to the church and then they can tear it down and extend their recreational lot or whatever. And so I don't know what's going on, but that is what he said last time.
No way in the world that anybody's gonna be able to tear that down without it just.
Well, I mean, the
I
church
was
would
in
be.
it literally 15 years ago, and it was packed, so full.
It's.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I can't imagine what the fee. You're not talking about a house that's caught on fire. You're talking a house that's from top to bottom full of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
in it. I was in it a couple times.
Right. So, I mean, and then he did come back to the office one day and tell me that there was a bunch of free women's clothes if anybody wanted them.
There's
There's a
nothing.
Walmart worth of stuff
I feel that
in
way too,
that
Barb.
property.
There is
Yes.
nothing in there that anybody wants.
No,
Yeah.
correct. So I
Unless
don't
he
really
knows of
have.
something.
I don't know. And I talked with Scott about that property because, you know, she did pass away and it was her parents' property. And he said, unfortunately, there's really not a lot we can do unless the taxes were unpaid. But Dave and Lee kept the taxes up to
Well,
date,
when you talk
so-
to him,
Mhm.
ask him to check into it as a health and safety hazard
Yeah. Okay.
because it's full of critters.
Oh,
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if it had. I know it had running water, but I don't know how.
Well, you know what? We haven't had water service to it in years. Since that guy did file, maybe Scott can call this attorney. I think I can get some. I'll
Yeah,
get.
and just I mean,
Yeah.
it's a health and safety hazard. It's a fire hazard. It's a safety hazard. It's a health
Right.
hazard.
So,
if that thing goes up, it's gonna burn for years.
oh my
It'll
goodness,
just
I'm
be.
not joking.
that would be
if
disgusting.
If that thing ever catches on fire, the fire department will just set back. We will protect the phone building, and we
I
will just
honestly-
we will
Yeah.
lob water at it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
It would burn for days.
yeah.
15 years ago, when I mowed her grass, like there was barely walkways through the whole house, and things were stacked taller than me, and
Yeah.
there was.
It's a definite hoarding
It's
situation.
yeah.
When,
Bad
when Lee,
deal.
when,
She was
when
such
Lee
a
blew up
sweet
the
little
bathroom,
lady.
it was that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was probably 18 years ago.
And that's probably.
Do you want to give your clerk report, please?
I mean, we can talk about
I would be happy to give my clerk report.
And it wasn't-
Okay,
it wasn't
so I met with Catherine, my budget rep from DLGF today, virtually. And she and I went over the budget. I gave her my June financials, which is what you guys have in front of you. And, I mean, she fully funded my budget. I did a couple reductions, which I can give you the back and forth of that, because we don't actually work on. I'm early this year on budgets. I'm beta testing this new software, so the whole process is a little different than how it's gone in the past. The state is gonna unveil budget 2.0 in the coming years. In the next, it's supposed to be a 2-year process, I guess. Right now we have Form B, 4B, Form 1, Form 2, this form, and you don't do Form 1 first. You do Form 4B first, and you have to use a spreadsheet, and it is quite the process. But Catherine and I spent a lot of time today discussing our revenue, and there's a lot of mysteries about our revenue. Some of the categories of where we get revenue, and I won't get too specific, but say our excise, we get our excise money, and that's from vehicle registration. And, you know, this year, our estimate for excise revenue is like less than it was 2 years ago. People have just as many cars now, if not more, than they did 2 years ago. So our revenue is like all over the place, because she and I looked back at the history of like the last 2 or 3 years, and we're just really concerned that we're not getting the correct amounts of money. So it's not going to happen this week. It'll have to happen when I get back. But I'm going to call the state controller's office which it's not the auditor, she's now the comptroller. They changed her name. I'm gonna call and talk to them and see if they can provide me with some better understanding of the kind of money that we're supposed to be getting, because it just shouldn't be fluctuating like it is, and it shouldn't be lower now than it was 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really it was kind of stressful today. But so I did that, and then as a council, a $5,200 line item in our budget is hydrant rental, and we don't have to do that. And I honestly didn't pay the fire department hydrant rental last year. I would like to keep that $5,200 in general and not give it to water, but it's ultimately up to you guys. But Scott said several years ago that we do not have to do that anymore. That Clinton's done away with it, and most towns have done away with it, and some of them have probably not. He said that he thinks the intent of hydrant rental years ago was for your general funds to help shore up your utilities, whereas now you rely on your utilities a lot more
To shore up.
yes, on the other side, when you're splitting costs of
Yeah.
things, that you're like saying, okay, I'm gonna split this between general water and sewer
Yeah, I thought we
and
talked
save.
about this and getting
So-
rid of it before.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so last year I did not actually transfer it. I could still transfer it for last year if you guys wanted me to, but I didn't transfer it last year. And so I'd kind of like to take it out of there this year. There's your bills. And I'd like to move that money somewhere else.
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I will make a motion to remove the fire hydrant rental.
And of course, I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We will no longer pay the $5,200 rental
To the water department. Okay.
to the water.
Okay.
All in
Okay.
favor of putting that towards the board? No.
Yeah.
Do we sign?
So, all right, say,
Just not the
take your
first line.
vote. Is that all in favor vote?
First line has to
Yes,
be
all
heard.
in favor.
All in favor, okay. And then, my other question. Oh, so last month, when I was reconciling the bank accounts yesterday, discovered that apparently the wrong check was in the printer. And I paid our bond payment. I like to admit when I make a mistake. I paid our bond payment for water out of the general fund. So I've accounted for it in the accounting. It's accounted for in the water fund, but it went out on a general fund check, which makes sense as to why my general fund checks were out of sequence. So it's already been cleared through the bank. So in order to correct that, the best thing I think for me to do is probably just to transfer that money to general from water
That sounds
and make it clear
Sounds like
like that. So I just wanted to tell you guys how I was gonna fix it. And I talked to Carol about this, and I did contact Bailey at State Board of Accounts. There is, if you look at your fund report, the very last column, the very last line item is the local road and bridge matching account. And there is $823.61 hanging out in there. It's account 4500. It's on the first page, at the very bottom of the general.
Oh.
Yeah. And that money is from 2019, 2018 when we did our very first one. Adrian had accounted for it kind of strange, and that was the leftover amount. I talked to Bailey. I would like to remove that and put it back to MVH. I feel like that's probably where it came from. She said just as long as I put it back where I think it came from. The way Adrian matched that, she took like $5,000 from this fund and so much money from this fund. And I do that too. So it'd be really difficult with the way, but she put that all together and then she paid, and then that's what remains. So I'd like to clean that up and move that over. And so
Do it.
I've talked to Bailey about it and kind of got some guidance. I just like to let you guys know what I'm doing when it's
Should we make a
something
motion?
wacky. No, I don't think you need to.
We all agreed to do
Yeah.
that.
So, other than that, everything's good.
Okay.
Okay, I will make a motion to pay the bill. Oh, we gotta do the public comment.
Public comment.
Public comment?
You guys got anything to say?
No.
We're not public.
Now you
We
can
can't
go
comment.
to
It's
the
Now I'll
public.
make a
We don't
motion to
live
pay the bills.
And I second it.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Oh, well. All in favor?
I think everyone's in favor.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Okay.